So if you guys have been hanging around YouTube, you probably are familiar with the Logan Paul, Jake Paul, Logang Paulers diss tracks going back and forth. A lot of people are getting in on this. That said, Pop Trigger is not a YouTube drama channel, and I don't look forward to becoming that. So while we're gonna break down exactly what's going on, what I wanna talk about with Amir and with you guys in the comment section is a little bit about sort of clickbait and how YouTubers and influencers on social media are finding new ways to make their income online. And I think that this storyline plays into that a little bit. That said, Amir, let me break down what happened. So Jake Paul released a song called "Everyday Bro." It's "Everyday Bro," something like that. It got a lot of dislikes. However, Jake Paul has a very loyal fan base. It also got a lot of likes. It's basically just a sort of a pump up song talking about how Jake Paul really loves his life and his team. They're called Team 10. So then Logan Paul, his older brother, heard the song, threw a little bit of shade at the song because Jake Paul would tell you he's not a rapper, and don't expect like Kendrick verses on a song from Jake Paul and his friends. So Logan Paul threw some shade, and then Jake Paul came back with a diss track about Logan Paul, his older brother, and it got pretty dirty to the point where Jake actually issued an apology before Logan could issue his diss track retort. And it basically, you have fandoms going back and forth, back and forth. Logan then released his response diss track to Jake's. Are you following this?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, you'll get them. Yeah. It's very confusing. They also look pretty similar too. Blonde and beautiful men, both of them. Logan released a diss track. It was really good. I hadn't really followed either of them before, so I was new to covering this. And Logan's diss track was pretty filthy. And just all together, he was joined with a band called Why Don't We, which does sound a little bit like a dating app, but that's fine, guys. You're young, maybe you can change it down the line. I'm just saying my brother was a part of a dating app called How About We, and that's so just something to think about, boys. Anyway, so Logan released this diss track. It was so good, and he stopped it before the second verse could play. And he said that the second verse was too mean, and given that Jake had just released an apology, he didn't want to release it. It looks like Logan had included Jake's ex-girlfriend in the diss track. Again, you following this?
Yes.
I feel like we need to have like one of those murder shed map things everywhere.
Let me clarify one thing. So Logan put out the really good diss track.
The diss track.
But why was Jake apologizing?
So Jake released this kind of corny rap song, and then Logan Paul shaded him for it, and then Jake released a diss track.
Got it.
But it was really mean. I mean, it was a good diss track, but it was mean, and so a lot of people from Logan's side were like, "Hey, man, you guys are brothers. Why are you doing this?" So then Jake released an apology, and then Logan was like, "Man, you released an apology before I even had time to retort. Now I look like a bully. I don't want to do that." And because bearing that mindset, he said, "I don't want to release the second verse because it's too mean." Now what they've sort of been doing that is getting some people upset is that they're baiting their fans because Logan said that he was going to release the second verse on iTunes so people could pay for it, some of his hardcore Logang fans. And then what he ended up doing in a vlog was he gave the video and the second verse to Jake and basically put it in his hand saying, if you want to release it, you can release it. And so now the teasing went from Logan sort of hopscotched over to Jake, who is now also sort of teasing his fans about how filthy the second verse is. And this brings in a larger discussion of YouTubers and influencers who are finding new and creative ways to monetize things for their viewers, using merchandise, they're using whatever sort of deals that they have. And I'm not saying that any of this is necessarily bad, but I think it's an important conversation. More and more you're seeing people ask their fans to head over to their Patreon and support them on Patreon. And that's all good and well, but if you have a 15-year-old viewer who has a certain amount of allowance every month and they have 6 favorite YouTubers and each of them they have a Patreon, they want to support them, how much money, then they have to pick favorites with their favorite YouTubers and creators. And I think that's sort of what this plays into, and this whole Jake and Logan Paul thing plays into that, because if they monetize the second verse that now is so hot, I mean, Jake gained 1 million subscribers basically because of this whole thing going out. He had 5 million and now he has 6 million, over 6 million subscribers.
It's crazy.
So it is a lucrative business to get in, to sort of bait your fans into paying for your content, what you're creating. You can't fault someone for that. You have to make a living off of this. But I do see commenters getting more and more frustrated because they, it's becoming more obvious than it was in the inception of YouTube and when big YouTubers were created, that they need to make a living off of this. The bottom line is the profit.
Yeah.
So with that prologue, where do you stand on this?
So a couple things. This whole ploy, genius.
Right.
Because especially with the adpocalypse on YouTube, this is like a super ad-friendly, viral game that they're playing right now. So good for them. Another thing, I just kind of had an epiphany. YouTube, especially this kind of YouTube, is like the ultimate reality TV.
It is, because it plays out in front of us in real time.
Yeah.
And
the individuals are really the masters of their own content. It's not like a crew of TV people and producers.
Well, and that's where you have to give the Paul brothers
credit. It feels even more
Is
authentic.
because they're doing it well. People have, it's no secret that if you get into a beef with someone on YouTube, it will benefit both of you.
Yeah.
If you guys engage it with each other, I know that, for example, there have been like Social Repose and Onision got into a beef, and that was mutually beneficial for their videos. And I think that the Jake Paul and Logan Paul, to of course a different degree, they're very different creators, plays into that as well, where they are driving viewership to both of their separate channels. And so now the question is, should they ever release the second verse? And if they do, should they do it for free, or should they make their fans pay for it? I don't think it's wrong to make fans pay for it. I just think that I understand the burden I understand the burden it puts on younger fans or fans who are, don't have a steady income, fans who are struggling with unemployment. It's hard you want to support your creators, but you also want to do them because they love it.
How much does it cost to buy that song?
I don't know, but that stuff adds up.
It's one song, it's one song. I'm trying not to be a hater and like an old man about this, because obviously like there's a part of me that thinks, what the fuck? This is so crazy, this is corrupting the youth. Another part of me thinks though, if I was that age, like let's say between 13 and 16 or whatever, this is like the ultimate experience. This is so much fun. And then you're waiting for that song to come out and then it comes out, holy shit. Or if it even doesn't come out. Just being teased like that at that age with something like this, that's super exciting. That's an experience that I think is worth having.
Is worth the $1.99.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I definitely hear you on that.
Like I'm trying to think like what experiences at that age came close to this, and like it was like Dragon Ball Z on Toonami and like waiting for the next season to come out. That was what I had. These kids have like this constantly real time of like content and people that they get to like interact with, and then they play like these kinds of games with them. That's huge. And
you think it's okay for them to also cash in?
Yeah.
I think it's okay too, but
they're providing entertainment.
Right, they're providing entertainment, absolutely. They should get paid for their work, but I also think there's something to be said about those first YouTube videos. You created stuff, or when you first started doing YouTube, you did it because you love doing it and making people laugh and getting the reaction from it, or just creating in general. And I understand that some people get frustrated when we move away from that, and when any video that you tune on is, hey guys, like here's the topic. Let's say, what's like a really salacious topic? Sexy lesbian sex tips. Sure, but then at the top of that video, it opens with, and real quick, here's a message from my sponsor, and then your video is maybe 10 minutes long, and then the actual content that you came to watch is maybe 3 minutes long. I understand that it's frustrating, but there has to be some sort of a happy medium between creators getting paid and having a living, and also doing it because you love to do it regardless of the money. And I think that balance is something we're still trying to figure out. And where Patreon plays into that is that you have more and more creators rely on Patreon to eat. And it's really frustrating. And merchandise too, and more people are creating merchandise. Do I think that Jake Paul is a fashion designer with his merchandise? No, but I know that my cousin would absolutely be like, oh my gosh, I need to overpay for this tie-dye sweatshirt that I could have made at home because it has a Jake Paul logo on it. And that's not necessarily wrong, but I think we can critique it.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
It gets to be pretty annoying.
It's just the way people are adapting to the changes that are going on in YouTube. You gotta get creative, you gotta come up with new ways to make money. It's no longer that golden age of YouTube where anyone who gets views gets a lot of money anymore.
Yeah,
those days are over. That
said, you have to kind of hand it to the Paul brothers because they got YouTube talking. They both benefited from this drama that, as far as we know, it seems like they're still brothers. They're still pretty close. I think that they probably understand how this has benefited them. I don't think they should ever release the second verse though. I think this could be the ultimate teaser just to keep drawing it out whenever like subscription dies down, be like, the second verse could be coming, and that'll help both of them. We wanna hear from you guys in the comment section below. Had you been paying attention to this at all? I know I saw some of you guys talking about it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We probably will never talk about the Paul brothers again if you came just for that. And we'll see you next time on Pop Trigger.